One of the most famous claims of Jewish messianic fame was a person born and raised and died in Muslim lands, spoke Arabic fluently. This is the famous rabbi known as Šabatai Cevi. Šabatai Cevi. Šabatai Cevi was born in Ottoman lands in the 16th century, 16 something. And Šabatai Cevi was a famous rabbi who began to have a larger and larger following and eventually claimed to be the Messiah. And his followers increased, and he began demanding more and more things until finally his demands became so ludicrous. And when he began to be political, the Sultan imprisoned him. And eventually his followers clamored and whatnot, so the Sultan decided to execute Šabatai Cevi. And he called him to his palace and he said, "Your penalty is death, but I shall forgive you if you convert to Islam." Now, I'm not arguing that was good or bad, I'm just telling you what happened. Whether that was good or not, it's not my business. That's what the Sultan Mehmed IV decided. If you convert to Islam, you are forgiven. Faced between these, Šabatai Cevi decided to convert to Islam, which caused a great crisis amongst his followers. Because if he's the Messiah, what are you going to do now, right? It caused a huge crisis. He had thousands of followers, and they all thought that he's going to be the Messiah, bring the kingdom of David back, this and that. And lo and behold, he embraces the Shahada in public. He takes off the turban of the Yahud, and he wears a big Ottoman turban. In those days, your clothing would tell you apart. He had the clothing of a rabbi. And in the presence of the Sultan, he took off his rabbi cloak, he wore the Ottoman turban, and he said the Shahada, and he said he's a Muslim. What are his followers going to do? Massive chaos, confusion. Some of them, I think the majority, ended up converting with him. A small group left him. So this turned out to be one of the most bizarre conversions in Islamic history, because what happened was his followers, in fact he himself, became half Jew, half Muslim. He observed Ramadan, but he observed the Sabbath as well. He read some Quran, but he also read the Hebrew. So he had this new thing that came about. And his followers were called Donme, which was a derogatory term by the Ottomans, by the Muslims of the time. It means convert, but not with a positive connotation, like a traitor convert. This is the term that who gave them? The Muslims of the time. They weren't happy with this guy and his followers. Too weird. Eventually it turned out he's still observing Jewish rituals and customs, so he lost all favor. He was exiled. He died in exile. His followers, who are now outwardly Muslim, inwardly continued to be what are called crypto Jews. Okay? And their numbers increased, and they are still around in Turkey, the Donme. The religious Muslims of the Ottoman lands said these people are Zanadiqa. What are Zanadiqa? Crypto Muslims who want to destroy Islam. They're not real, they want to harm Islam. And they hate Islam, but they pretend to be Muslim. And the Donme became rich and powerful in a number of cities. And at the turn of the century, 100 years ago, a group called the Young Turks were formed. And the Young Turks were a very, very secular, anti-religious groups of Turks who were keen on abolishing the Khilafah and bringing about a Turkey that was secular in nature. Now, what I'm about to tell you is true. many of the leaders of this movement were from Donme. In particular, a very, very dashing yet cruel, intellectual yet heartless man called Mustafa Kemal, later called Ataturk. Ataturk is from the Donme, this is a fact. I'm simply telling you the perception about the motives of the Donme, and then I will tell you factually, Ataturk hated Islam. Ataturk mocked Islam. He was not a believer in Islam at all, and it is very clear that he considered Islam to be something that caused his people and nations to be backward. And if he wanted to, if he was able to, he would ban the religion. He did enough damage to the religion as it is. As you know, he shut down the madrasas, he abolished the khilafah, he abolished the Grand Mufti, role of the Grand Mufti, he made the court system secular, got rid of all of the sharia, he made the Quran to be recited in Turkish during the salah. The adhan was recited in Turkish, not in Arabic anymore. That was his whole point, to make everything Turk. So Ataturk is from the Donme, and not just him, but many of those who followed him.